this architectural meeting, and let's go through some items that we have. So one item I just wanted to not to discuss, but we already discussed it on one of the previous meetings about service contracts and the rule that we have about having API interfaces in a separate modules. So I proposed some changes to the update that we had, saying that in some cases, such as if module already has API classes, those API classes, like new API classes, new service contracts can be created in the API folder, so we don't have API classes sitting in two different modules. So yeah, we wanted to have this update, and I think it's about to be merged. So just wanted to update on that one. Then also we can go through some pull requests that we have, proposals. So one is stack upgrade strategy. We had some discussion about it. And I don't know, I think I don't have Eugene today, probably everybody's on hackathon. So what Eugene proposes here, the solution is for tracking updates for dependencies that we have. And in this case, as far as I remember, he covers at least composer-based dependencies, but we can extend it in the future. So his idea is to use Dependabot and Slack integration. So Dependabot is a tool, is a service that can track dependencies in Composer and then automatically create a pull request with updated dependencies. So the idea is that it can create those pull requests, and then we will trigger a notification in a separate Slack channel, so we can track as something is being updated. So I'm going to merge this. As I remember, there were not many concerns, so many significant concerns that we had were addressed, such as not inventing our own tool. So we do not do that, and I think about everything else we can look at it in the future and adjust if there is something that we need to improve here. Okay, so we'll sync the branches and then I can merge it. Let's see what else we have. How many people do we have? So there are questions about our meetings and where you can find them. So I just wanted to show that there is Google Calendar, and we probably can ask community engineering team where it is published, but my understanding is that everybody should have access to this calendar, and there are architectural discussion meetings listed here. But yeah, you can see them. So you can ask Engcom team in the Slack channel on how to find this calendar. What other notes we have? Anybody wanted to discuss anything else?
A very small update to technical guidelines.
Okay. Do you want to share the screen?
Mm-hmm. It's very small.
Mm-hmm.
So we, I don't know maybe someone can suggest better title, but I just wanted to add to technical guidelines that when we create new integration or add new feature, we need to consider a possibility and try to make it as a service.
What would you like? It's very broad. So what does it mean for somebody to consider it? To consider a new service must be.
So
you mean that this feature should be working as a service?
Yes. And if it's possible to implement, we can say that if it's possible to implement a feature or integration as a service, it should be a service.
Okay.
I can rephrase it like this. It will be more clear. So it will say if it's possible to create. When creating an integration or a new feature, if it's possible to implement it as a service, it must be a service. Something like this. Better. And title makes sense, or also too general?
I think service.
To me, it's not clear. Like why it's service architecture. Because we're talking about, I believe, about SaaS.
Yes, I think service-oriented architecture has some specific meaning. I don't think we are going to implement service-oriented architecture. I think we'll probably need to discuss it in another meeting where we will have more people. Do we have more people? We have actually have a couple. Some Anton, I'm not sure which Anton is it. Service like. I'm just thinking about community as well, how they should think about
they already do this. Community working on import export, they implement it as a service. The reason why SA might make sense is because we can have two things. We can have we can offer something as a service. Something can be offered as a service, or service can be just part of Magento application, like import export. It's part of Magento application. Magento and import export service-oriented architecture to this. Oh no. So it's both. We have both. We have SaaS and we have SA, but you cannot say SaaS. But SA wouldn't make sense in both cases.
Just services, no?
Services. We can say services.
New features. Any other opinions?
Services sound better for my phone.
Okay, so
I change it later if you add more items.
Okay.
Why we need this? I don't understand. Maybe we need some more specific requirements here. Because
More
in general,
requirements.
yeah, what does it mean? So, should we use service bus or what?
These are implementation details.
Yeah, but in general, what does it mean?
You're talking about the title of the section or the specific item? Like this item or the title?
Mostly about.
So this we will rephrase.
For both.
this we will say rephrase to something like, if it's possible to implement integration or feature as a service, then it should be implemented as a service, so to be more clear.
What about if we are talking about Magento core features?
The same as I understand. By the way, what's the difference between core feature and bundled and CB?
No difference. They are just developed.
I don't know. You're already right. You're already right. Calculator, for instance.
So we can say also what needs to be considered, or what needs to be considered, whether or not we need to release this separately from Magento. We can say that this is the main question that needs to be considered.
I'm just thinking that this question should be probably on the higher level than those tag guidelines. Tag guidelines are for Magento platform itself, as far as I remember. Maybe we should consider them differently, but at least it was my understanding. And here we can cover that there should be the platform should provide the interfaces to substitute something with a service, right? Or different thing is everything that is related to our service isolation can be covered here, that we should consider part of Magento to be deployed as a separate service, but this is a little bit different than what you described. So I think there are two areas which intersect, or which is a little bit confusing. What do you mean by this statement?
So two things. One thing is that we want, when possible, not to add more functionality in Magento, so we can release the functionality without releasing Magento and making upgrades.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing is that's one another thing is a similar thing, but we can have a service or that will be just not exposed to merchants or customers, and in this case Magento will just work with this service, but we still get benefits of updating that benefits of upgrading that service and not impacting all Magento. And another case when we have a service and this service exposes interface somehow in Magento, just like target integration. In this case, it would be possible to also upgrade the service independently, and everyone will get updates instantly. So it can be two things, like.
Yes, but we should consider, I think in these tag guidelines, in first case, first of all, we should consider on-premise, fully on-premise solution, like what, and there either we should cover that some part of Magento should be, it should be possible to deploy as a service, or I'm just not sure that it should be described here, but yeah, let's discuss also with Anton Krill, I think, for the vision, to make sure that
what was the cool question? Sorry, I missed it.
Okay, you're here. Did you see the proposal?
Yeah, part of it, but what specifically? When this one highlighted by green?
Mm-hmm. So should we add something to tag guidelines about implementing features as services?
Yes, I think it makes sense. It also makes sense for yeah. That's actually, I think it's a good idea. It's like the good thing about it is, so we should tell both internal developers, extension developers, and system integrators that new behavior should be not added as extensions of Magento, but as separate services. Yes. But I think we should reward it and add more details, like new functionality should be added to Magento through separate services, and expand for core developers, for extension developers, and for size. What does it mean for them? So you add a thin extension to Magento, and then you do. And then you deploy a separate service.
Okay, could you
Can you
repeat?
clarify this a little bit?
What is it?
Could you repeat last sentence? What was the last sentence? You said first do something and then deploy as a separate service. What was the first thing? The first part of the last sentence.
So you should, like, in general, everyone, both extension developers, SIs, and core developers, should develop new behavior by adding a light extension, thin extension, and putting as much behavior to SaaS as possible. So that should be a recommendation for everybody. I think I'm just trying to say that we should expand this. It shouldn't be one sentence. There should be the details section here, definitely, because people will not understand it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I will expand it and send everyone to review. What was your question, Anton Kapler?
This is more suggestion that's this, but this is what exactly Anton told of recently. That this statement require better explanation.
Okay.
So
okay.
how this communication should look like, because right now, before we don't have service isolation done, it's kind of not achievable goals.
Why is that?
I don't know. Maybe this is question. So how I can write my extension as a service by using Magento? I understand how I can integrate another service with the same client.
How did we write Google Ads channels? How did we write?
Yeah, exactly.
How did we write Target?
Does this mean that we promoting to start developing extension not as a Magento extension, but mostly as an independent application, and integrate this independent application or through the same clients?
Yes, that's exactly what it means.
Okay, so maybe we can write this down.
Well, so the proposal is to write it down, right? I mean, or do you mean that the description? Write down the description.
Description.
Well, the statement here actually specifically states that, but it should be more strict. Like, it should not be should consider, but it should really recommend to do that.
Maybe we need a separate page that explains this vision. I don't know. Do not put everything in tech guidelines. Or you can try to phrase them if it will be not too many words. That's fine.
Mm-hmm. I will rephrase it and send for the review.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Any other comments about this? Okay, let's see what else we have. Any other topics? Okay, let's see. Okay, we don't have time to share my screen. I just want to go through proposals that we have. Design test environment configuration. Anybody knows any status of the proposals that we have? So still need to ping Andrew about Fotorama. Okay, we'll need to send.
So this one was supposed to be worked on by Kolesnik, his community member.
So
Because they had some
we need to
discussions in
ping
the
them,
past.
right?
I will pin them, yes.
Okay. Simplified module declaration. What is remaining here?
I think there are some comments from Vinay. He expressed pretty strong opinions.
Anton, can you review it? Maybe you need to process some feedback here. Anton Krill.
Okay, I'll take a look at this one.
Framework components, first class citizens. What's with this one? I don't have the gene now. Anton, do you know anything, like what's the status of this, your proposal?
That's specifically one moment. I think we should, so we got, this proposal, there was a discussion. Please take a look and match it if there is no other comments. I haven't checked the latest comments here. But it looks like we can merge it, maybe get some updates there. But yeah, well, I don't think there was anybody who was against it.
Okay, we'll check. Standard promises. Is this the old one or is this new one?
That's a new document. It was submitted originally in the scope of service isolation, but then we made it more generic. Alex currently working on this proposal. He created prototype, and it needs to be reworked. This proposal.
But so we decided that we still want to incorporate it right now.
Yes, we can
or
decided.
Or accept the proposal.
Yeah, we decided that we can consider it.
Okay.
Without service isolation.
Net GraphQL config elements instantiation on the fly. And Capra, do you know what's the state of this? I see that Alex asked for performance measurements.
Actually, yep, I did. I did rough performance measurements, which shows small improvements in this area. So I want to do more tests, and but I believe this is not what I'm going to do in the future days. So okay, I will run more tests, and in case I will not be able to answer security concerns, we will be able to close this test.
Yeah, we had some communication with security team, and it doesn't look to be secure implementation. Anton, I don't know, maybe it just makes sense to close it completely, right?
Yeah, we can close it right now. Definitely, I believe that we have an area for improvements here, but I don't mind. As soon as I don't have a strict don't have results which show a significant performance improvement here, there are no sense to keep it. But still, I would like to clarify this question with security, because it looks like that I don't understand why we cannot use and serialize, and nobody from security team can provide me a clear answer. It's like blah 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 in case something we will be put it here, but how something can be put it here in case we are using our XML, or we expecting that somebody will deploy exploit as a part of our configuration file. I don't know. I believe that I'm okay to close this proposal, but I still want to get better clarification why we cannot use unserialized with secure options.
I guess it's just another risk that we add the more risks we add in different places, the bigger a chance that somebody will find a way to break the system into the system. But okay, sync with security team. What else we have? Okay, upgrade strategy, so we'll be merging it. I just need to update the branch. Split composer dependencies for modules extensions from Eugene.
So this proposal looks good. I reviewed it. It makes sense, but we decided to discuss if we want to fix namespaces after module decomposition, and
we didn't figure out it yet.
we need to look into it. Turns out it's not a very simple question.
Not very simple. So as far as I remember, we discussed with Roman Goncharuk, and he had concerns that maybe we should do this right now and change.
I would propose. So this proposal, this question is separate from this proposal, it looks to me, and I would just propose to merge this proposal, add this question as a to-do item, like for me, for instance, and investigate this question separately. Okay. Because it will hold proposal.
New module, new class, old class, namespace, new module, composer. So what do we need to decide? We need a group of people probably to discuss it and decide
this proposal.
No one about namespace. So this is the only question. I think it would be good to resolve it
before merging it.
Yeah. So let's have a meeting or
we need to investigate and because I wasn't sure if we introduce new module that will simply have classes with new namespaces that will extend classes with old namespaces, right? Where configuration will live.
I don't.
So
I don't know. For me, I wouldn't introduce new namespaces, new classes with new namespace, just extend old classes. Probably. Because, I don't know, you won't be. So the new classes will be extending old ones, or vice versa.
New classes will be extending old ones. Or vice versa.
And how will it help us? So it will be just not so breaking change for some time, or what?
It's supposed to be backwards compatible change, but we will get nice namespaces. But the problem we have also virtual types that we cannot rename. We probably will find some other things that we cannot rename. And how we need to make sure that we will not have plugins with, problems with configuration. Because what if class used somewhere as a part of configuration? And what would that mean? Will everything inherit properly? And will we be able to have only one configuration, or we will have to duplicate configuration? If we have to duplicate configuration, it probably will not work.
Yeah, let's close this question. To write down all these concerns and meet together and discuss.
Okay. I will try to do this maybe today, and we will see. Maybe we will discuss it on tomorrow's meeting.
Okay, good. Static testing improvements. It should be almost done or maybe done. We have a question in tab docs. Alex, your proposal. Yes, it's your proposal about static testing improvements. As far as I remember, this proposal is fine, but it relies on the decision in definition of done document.
Correct. I sent yesterday request in architectural channel to get any feedback.
Any opinion here right now? Let's maybe discuss. We still have time. So, guys, put such items on architectural discussion meetings as well. I think it's important to discuss. So the idea here is to, as you know, we have a rule about not introducing breaking changes, especially in patch releases, in patch versions of components. And with time, we observed that in some cases we want to do still some changes. So, for example, we have constructors, and adding a parameter or optional constructor, which is like a dependency of the class, is considered a breaking change if we just follow the same rules for constructor as for all other methods. But it really limits us, and as we recommend composition over inheritance, people should not rely on constructors usually. So our proposal here, I think we already discussed it, is to list specific classes which are intended for inheritance due to some obsolete, not obsolete, but legacy behavior, for example. And for everything else to allow modifications of constructors, so to not include it in the public API. So Alex listed some of the classes that he thinks are still necessary for in implementation, like to be inherited. Any opinions here? I think Anton Kapler had did not agree with this decision, but let's discuss.
My point is, actually we have a problem with upgrades, and if Anton is still with us on this meeting, he can confirm this. Upgrades between patch versions. So my point, we have to keep semantic version checker clear between patch releases. Maybe we have to communicate this properly to product organizations, so it's better to do a minor releases more often than we are doing right now. But actually, even today I had a conversation regarding this. We have several tasks in progress, which will definitely bring some backpattern compatibility in our system in 2.3.2, and this is because of strict requirement from product side. So decisions such this definitely will complicate upgrade process. So this is kind of trade-off. In case we want to get a better upgrade process, we have to stop doing changes in our patch releases like this. In case we don't care about this, definitely, yeah, we can approve such changes. But that's changes like this may affect extensions which will not be able to migrate from one patch version to another patch version.
Okay. Yes, but again, we are talking about theoretical part, probably.
I would say it's pretty practical part, because actually we have we know costs of upgrades, so this is not a theoretical numbers, and we probably know our roots of such costs.
Yeah, but again, it's not black or white. So yes, in some cases, changes that we make really break extensions, but I don't think all of them break extensions. And if we do not allow to modify even constructor, it really limits us, because you cannot. There is very little what you can do. You can just change an algorithm inside the method, but you cannot do more than that, and it limits even bug fixing. I don't think it's always a product request. So yes, you can consider bug fixing is also a product request, of course, but it's something that is expected from patch releases. I think it's, again, like constructors should not be a part of API, public API usually. They are only considered because people extend classes. And from our side, we try to avoid that by providing different ways of doing things through composition. And we still admit that there are cases where it's impossible. And for these cases, we make an exception, and we should try not to break even constructor signature. So I just think that we need to find the balance between complexity of development, internal development, and complexity of upgrades.
I believe we have a pretty good solution in case we will be able to run more minor releases. So actually,
we don't have the solution because it's not our decision. It's not
it's not our decision, but we have to communicate it. That's okay, guys. In case we have one minor release per 2 years, so we cannot guarantee that upgrade between patch releases will be simple task, because we are going to deliver several new models, several new functions, and
so I agree that we should discuss that, but meanwhile, definitely it will not happen tomorrow. Nothing will happen tomorrow. So meanwhile, I propose to somehow simplify the process for us internal, and in the same time still keep some reliability for extension developers. Any other opinions? Anthony is still here. Who else?
Anton, are you with us?
Yeah, I'm trying to. I haven't followed the discussion. I'm trying to read the proposal. So all changes are approved by architects. By the way, it's removal of private. Are these examples that are we discussing the examples that do not require approval?
Yes. So removal of private constant is just because our tool works incorrectly. I guess anything private can be changed at any time.
Yes, all this is just to make it explicit and avoid unnecessary requests to architecture team and avoid blocking pull requests.
I don't have opinion on that. If it simplifies your work, let's do it. If it doesn't, okay.
So like there is only one big question, is that we want to simplify changes in constructors. Right now we say that any change in the constructor, even adding an optional argument, is a breaking change and it requires approval. Here we say that in most cases it doesn't require approval, only in specific cases where those are classes that should be extended, because there is no other way to do things.
I usually don't like such specific things. The rules should be simpler, but again, if that exists, it's hard for me to judge. I don't know. I would make a simpler rule.
Like what?
Don't break a constructor. Don't introduce new constructor arguments in patch releases.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, but how security fixes can be fixed then? Because often new dependencies to be introduced just to fix some security vulnerabilities.
We still have an options for this
any
one.
other fixes as well.
Yeah, like any bug fixes or security vulnerabilities may require new dependencies. And do we directly instantiate those dependencies with object manager without constructor, or like what to do in this case?
Inside of constructor, but without putting arguments. It will be backward compatible, and we will be able to open this argument as a next patch in next minor release.
But do you think somebody will go and open that? Like we have history of.
We can optimize this work, so I believe this can be covered with a static test. Definitely can be covered with static test.
I don't know, in my opinion, that's what many people were approving already, just optional constructoring. And I think it's what we have in our guidelines as recommendation. We are adding optional argument.
It is a way to avoid backward compatibility.
Like then we should probably modify that.
Does it apply to with the API classes? Because about these API classes, there was confusion for a long time. I don't think our guidelines talk specifically about API
doesn't
classes.
talk about anything specific.
And this is why we have this confusion. Because we had conversations a couple of weeks ago about this, and you didn't agree to on something. I think Eugene Santiago also likes the idea of treating this as a patch, but I have some concerns. It's hard to see like why it would be a problem if everyone follows the rule, but
so it would be a problem only in case if you have later patch release which has extra dependencies. Somebody in the third-party extension customize module based on this additional dependency, which is not present in previous patch versions. So that is the only case.
Or if someone would instantiate classes using operator new, which should not happen, but some people can do it. So I don't think that this is really a big problem, but like I personally just to be on the safe side, my original thinking was to don't allow such changes and just use object manager.
But then we should rewrite our backward compatibility guidelines.
Can we schedule a separate meeting for this topic, because this is pretty significant?
Let's schedule. Alex, can you schedule a meeting?
Who do you want to invite?
Architects, probably. It would be good also to have maybe team leads optional.
Maybe we can ask the community.
We already asked.
And they
up to them, no comments.
Maybe did we tweet about this?
No. But we asked in up to them.
I don't think that like problem is very big. It just I don't know. I think that some people may not expect that this will happen.
Yeah, let's clarify it. Okay, so for this one, meeting, will you share it with community, like in some broader channel, just to get some feedback of how it will impact them?
In up to them we have a lot of people. We have 200 people, and nobody
still
replied. And I believe those people are mostly interested in such questions.
Okay. Anyways, we'll need a meeting. What else do we have? Distributed deployment.
Distributed deployment, we agreed to split on 2 proposals. I will do that by tomorrow.
Okay. So we'll discuss it on tomorrow's meeting. I think import update endpoints for base uploads. Alex, you're reviewing it, right? What's the status of it?
Sure.
I see that Some of your comments were addressed, maybe all of them.
Yeah, we'll need to check.
Okay, so let's Magento coding standard versioning strategy.
Yeah, there are a couple of comments.
Okay. I will need to check, probably I see that there are updates. There are still items that need to be updated.
Yes.
Okay, good. Anything else today? If not, then I think we are done. Thanks all. See you next time and join us for